As I'm sure many of you know by now, given frequent personal declaration and past publications on this channel, music coverage as it appears here is of recent arrival, but is based on years of aspiration, since the founding of this channel, really. Music is, as I've said many times, the favored form of the artistic languages. Though I cover a broad canvas here, it is the one I have the closest tie to. And it definitely fits, again, in my general aim to highlight good art, or to humor the consideration of what we're about to witness will qualify as such. And we can speak these days, of course, with the entertainment's landscape and focus to the evident variability, and sometimes we question the efficacy and we witness that for ourselves, but music generally has always been favored. And there's not been, at this point of what I've covered on this channel, whether it be fresh introductions, frequently, to terms of new artists that maybe I come through in passing, or maybe they're delivered to me via your recommendations, or familiar talents to me. There's not been one song or one artist I've not loved highlighting. And again, enjoying with you, that's what makes music even better, especially as it exists on this channel. It's, you know, fun to enjoy in personal solitude, but it's not the same as enjoying it in company, especially when you're getting the first introduction together, right? It just adds to the experience. And when I consider, again, the origin of when I was just mulling over, right, music coverage and the possibility of it entering here, there are so many artists that I've considered from favored talents, ones that I've recognized for years in terms of personal favorites, that I've been waiting to highlight ever since I began. And there's artists I've come across now at this point that I've published where that's been a declaration, and many of which I'm getting to that are on the list. This is the number one, though. If there's one group that I can think of that I have been pining away to highlight here, beyond just frequent recommendations that I supply in different artists in conjunction to perhaps advertise their name to new listeners, we finally get to showcase Red here, who I've been a fan of for 13 to 14 years, somewhere in there. It's been a long time with this group, but I have had so many good memories with one of my favorite Christian rock and metal artists, of course, but in general, standing, just a good rock group overall. I love Red. And I know many of you, I'm sure, are familiarized with the name Red. They've been around for a long time, and they've got plenty of good circulation among the rock fan community. But maybe some of you have not yet taken yourself down the Red path. We're going to do so together. Again, I've been waiting for an experience since Declaration, when, again, that's sort of when music emerged here, even though long before, I've humored the thought of what could that be like to highlight Red in focus, and to maybe share them with new listeners, right? A group that deserves your attention if you've never entertained them before. I get to highlight them alongside many other groups I've loved featuring familiar talents to me, and ones that are foundational to my rock love. Right? I've spoken about that before, in particular with my path into why music has been so favored in my life. And it was the Christian music scene that I was initially introduced to when I was young, and it didn't take that long for Christian rock to be introduced. Red came through in my teenage years. Tween years. So maybe they didn't have as early of a presence as some other ones did, but based on the number of impossible to determine replays I've given their music, stand alongside all the other ones I was introduced to earlier on. Red, again, like I've said, highly favor them. I cannot wait for you to be introduced if you've not heard them yet. And we get to enjoy them together for the first time via a new song, Surrogates, which sounds promising, again, given the direction of Rated R, which I've read into some of, again, the philosophy of the album and where this is going. Of course, I'm sure based on Red and their name attribution, strengthen that alone. But on pitch, this album sounds pretty good, with a bit of a commentary vibe, which I'd say commentary / conceptual, that's immediately attractive to me, even beyond just the metal regard, which of course I've favored for many years, being a devout metalhead. This sounds like a quite attractive release. And when you call it Rated R, again, I'm sensing the aggression already. I've been waiting. Let's humor this together for the first time. One of two entrances to this track, by the way. As I understand, the music video will be debuting later, but I cannot, and we'll recognize that here whenever that debuts. I've been waiting for an opportunity to humor Red. Here we are today. Finally, aspiration in particular, fulfilled. I'm going to go ahead and cue up Surrogates, and we can be introduced together for the first time, perhaps. Or maybe you've heard this track before, because it's been out for a couple days, admittedly. You're going to be in the perspective of somebody who's very much taking a fresh listen, but is quite knowledgeable on Red. And I just can't wait to hear them. Again, ever since this track debuted, I'm like, yes, we're finally here. And if you've not been introduced, it's been a fun number of years I've spent with this group, and I hope you experience the same, and this will be your first footing. You'll enjoy the experience for sure, and I highly recommend digging back into the earlier catalog, but we get to enjoy this new arrival together, as we will with more tracks coming for sure. Again, I've been waiting for an opportunity to humor Red. We get to do it together today. Surrogates. Here we go. This fits the concept. And again, this is the interlude. Nice, that's thick. I thought... Good dark riff structure. Ooh. Nice synth invasion, I like that.
Over time you lost the line, the growing box of self-decline.
Good duality of vocal pitch. Oh, I'm digging that. That's good. I'm not surprised. Michael Barnes is a phenomenal vocalist. I like the mixture of tone. I'm really digging that rough edge, though. I don't think they've ever done something with that level of synth dominance. I like this different feel, though. So strong. This is really strong. I like the atmosphere on his vocal articulation there. That's good. This is an incredibly sophisticated delivery. Wow. This one goes fast. We're almost at the conclusion. This is good. As always. That's so different, though, from past experiences I've had with Red. I have not heard something with that level of synth dominance. That's new. And I like that. You know, again, Red has taken adventurous steps in the past. Notably, have released The Panic. That went for more of like a pop rock chic. And I think it was interesting. Definitely set apart itself in terms of Red releases from the mainstream rock, metal, slash... I don't know if I qualify them as symphonic metal, but that real strings dominance, which I immediately find attractive, I hope there's out in this album, though I'm open to this new take. This is distinct. But the integration works. There's that hard rock edge that, again, taps into that metal side with Red. I love it. And Michael Barnes is a vocalist. I love the blend. The echoes, the different pitches, good choices, beautiful variability on this work. Concise and short. Very much an interlude on the album, though, in terms of a fresh introduction, which sets up, I think, quite a competent release. I like the path, though, we're on with it. I mean, again, if this is setting up the concept as well of where Rated R is going. And though, you know, sometimes take a bit more, especially on fresh introductions, right? They take a little more time to dig into. And I think this one requires that. It offers a footing that is tantalizing to where we'll be going from here. But I like the promise of what this signals. And I'm curious to see what the evolution of Rated R manifests. If that synth dominance is consistent, that's new for them. Bears a connection, though, to other groups that maybe they've had similar vibes to. Maybe they've toured with recently. I'm thinking notably of Starset, one that favorite of mine. Maybe some of you know. I've covered them before on the channel. I'm hoping for some new stuff maybe eventually. Their old stuff's great, but we're right around the time for maybe some new releases. Hopefully soon. We'll see. I've seen some minor chatter. If you've never been introduced to Starset, by the way, alternative, and they definitely play around in terms of sound mixtures with a real electronic vibe. That I get connections to immediately on the synth application. I wonder if there's a bit of an influence. I mean, I could be wrong, I could be right. Well, I experienced a deliberate thread with it. And in terms of recent appearances on this channel, I've been covering a lot of groups recently that have played around with symphonic, or not symphonic, symphonic, yes, but synthetic emphasis, notably in the European metal space. Many of you know it's a favorite of mine, but we're going to go back to the American scene for now. And with Red, that was highly effective. I loved that. It's so different. I like the drive on that number, though. Good pacing, highly effective, beautiful dimension to the number. Has, again, like I said, a vivid atmosphere to it, especially on the vocal presence. We're setting up for a fun engagement here. Again, I hope to have rated R, but that stresses to me immediately aggression. Maybe, again, Red has played around a bit from different songs. It depends, again, on the evolution of the overall album and the construction and what's intended by the group. But, if this is the focus, we're set up for something quite, as always have read, quite good. I cannot wait to hear more. I can't wait to see the visualizer that this is going to manifest. I understand that's being filmed, at least upcoming, if not now, from what I've seen in chatter. But we're off to the races. As always have read. I've been waiting to humor them. Our first introduction. More to come, for sure. But as I've said, there are particular groups that I have been waiting to highlight, given the opportunity. And we have one finally with Red. What are your guys' thoughts overall with that song? And I'd love to hear, by the way, what angle you come from, as always, of any music I consult, but in particular of Red. Are you a longtime fan? I'm sure a number of you are. But are any of you first introductions? Again, I do hope for this with, music coverage on this channel that there is, let's say, a spiral from one group to another. That's why I cover a wide field. Not just in maybe genre focus, although I tend to spend more time in the metal space for sure, but I cover artists of intentionally variability of name presence and recognition, some bigger names, smaller names, international names as well. In particular hope, not just to experience good art and good music, especially in company of one another, but that maybe you find other groups that you haven't recognized yet. Maybe you've been aware of but haven't humored. So how many of you are approaching Red on a first-name basis, right? And maybe you've come to this channel for other groups in association, but not Red yet. But this was your first step. Again, I recommend digging back in the earlier catalog, for sure. You will thank me. But we're going to enjoy Rated R together for sure going forward. More to come with this album. If you liked this, and this was your first footing, I cannot wait to hear more experiences with you. And I hope you enjoyed that. I'd love to hear about your take down below, though, if you do wish, of course, to disclose that information. Again, I've been waiting for Red. And here we go. The setup to, I think, a wonderful album with adventurism. I wonder if that synth application is going to continue. That is... The dominance is new. I can't think of any tracks on memory, again, as I said, that have stressed it to that degree. Maybe it's played around in subtle appearance, but never to that level. I like it, though. Bands try new things all the time, and when it comes to Red, they've been around for how many years at this point? Again, I say I've been following 13, 14 years, and I feel old when I say it. It's been a fun 13, 14 years with this group. I've enjoyed every minute. Every track I've humored from them has been an immediate re-listen and a favorite of mine. And Surrogates, I'm sure, will fit well into that. As in general, I would imagine Rated R is going to as an album. That's been the story with Red. I've loved them from the minute I first was introduced via Breathe Into Me. Who wasn't from that original song if you did come to an early introduction of Red? As I say with every artist, I feel quite honored to showcase such good talents, and especially the rock sphere, or the music world generally, and to highlight good art and enjoy it with you. Red, I've been waiting for an opportunity. It's wonderful to finally have that aspiration materialize here in fulfillment, and to provide an opportunity for you to perhaps, if you're a new listener, to be introduced to them, alongside me for fresh listens. Surrogates is a wonderful piece. with some new tailoring for sure. We'll see again how it manifests with the evolution of the album going forward, but that sets up, I think, another killer release to be expected with a favorite of one of long-standing regard, and for good reason, with Red. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.